Well, I don't care what any John Deere guy says. They don't get better looking than that. Or smoother running. Fan belts need to be tightened. I took the shield off. I think for this water separator. I don't remember why I took it off. I took it off last fall. Need to keep it off and wash it up a little bit. Yeah, it needs a wash. Leaks oil out of that right there. There's a seal and bushing in there on each side. It's pretty much where all the oil leaks coming from. Hydraulic cylinders, I put new kits in them a couple years ago. I took the PTO shield off because I have it on my white planter, and that's where the hydraulic pump goes for that. Somebody's damaged the door at one time. Got to see if I could pretty that up better with a nicer weld and make it look better. She's dirty, been sitting all winter. I've had it running for half an hour or so. That tack, I got a rebuilt one. I don't know if it's for this tractor or if I got the wrong gearing on the alternator itself. It's supposed to be for a 200, but it don't register right. It ain't idling that slow. That's wide open, and it should be reading around 2400 RPM. It's not. I don't know what the hours were on this thing. The tack that was in it only said 100 and it wasn't working. And I don't know if it was a Chinese tack or what, but tilt steering, that's right here. Pull that knob out, and then I can't do it with one hand so easy, but you can have the steering wheel down there. You pull the knob out, have it up there. Here's the telescoping steering. Again, I gotta can't quite do it. My hand strength ain't enough anymore to do it. I don't know if you can see that, but telescopes. Well, here, I'll show you. That's all the way down. That's all the way up. It moves quite a ways. The ones that don't have telescoping have the AC symbol right here. Like the old 190s. 190s never had telescoping. Throttle. It's got a very responsive engine to it. There's your power director, low range, neutral, high range. It's the easiest shifting power director probably that they ever had, except for the 8000 series. Got this electronic one up on the steering wheel, on the steering column. Hydraulics, there's your two remotes. I've never seen one that didn't have two remotes. There's your 3-point hitch. See if it snaps back. Might give it a little there. Traction booster, your draft control, position control, your hydraulic PTO, which is down here. That's on. That's neutral. That's brake, all the way down. And it does work. The brake works on the PTO. Hydraulic actuated PTO. Your 4-speed, everybody, they complain, oh, ALLIS Chalmers has that stick in the way. Well, you know what? The pedals are in the way before the stick's in the way. So when somebody says that, they don't know what they're talking about. I actually like this down here better than like the later tractors had it up here, unless you got a power shift. But when you have all your gearing up here, it doesn't work quite as nice. It's all cables. This is pretty sure. I do have to check my clutch adjustment. Sometimes it wants to sit and grind. Then I gotta shut it off because I don't want to grind the gears. But this is the creep. You see the tractor move. There's the foot clutch in. Let it out. It just barely moves. When it's warmed up, they shouldn't really move. Maybe in first gear they might. But when it's good and warm, they won't. As long as you're in neutral. You got your air cleaner check there. So if your air cleaner needs servicing, be a red stripe right in there. It'll have a red deal will pull out. You'll see it in this window. A red deal will come this way if the air filter is restricted. Fuel shut off, amp gauge. There's your turn signals. Left hand, nothing. Right hand. If I had my flashers on, I'll turn the flashers on. Hopefully over winter they still work. Well, if you have your turn signals on, that green light will tell you, hey, your turn signal's on. Same thing if you go to right. Yeah. She's just from sitting over winter. Let's try it again. Yeah, sitting over winter, she's probably got to have a connection clean somewhere. Bad thing is I had it sitting outside half the winter. Not half, but a little while. Try it again. And it's got aftermarket lights on. They've got cruddy connections, so I got new lights put on, original OEM lights. There's your temperature gauge. Here's your dash light whenever you got your lights on. That's your low beam, high beam, floodlights. That's all the lights. Oil pressure light. I'll shut it off here. Oil pressure light. The light to let you know your flashes are on. They work for a little bit. Like I say, it's been sitting. I haven't had to work on the lights on this for quite a while, so apparently I got something to do. Your push button, the boot is wore off. Key switch. There's your ether button that somebody... Well, that's a factory one. Don't use it. It's also got a preheat. So you hold this key here for... Oh, if it's really cold, about a minute. If it isn't that cold, maybe 30 seconds. But don't use it with ether. You use one or the other. I don't even have an ether can in this, but because you'll blow the manifold right off, so I'm told. If you use the heater along with the ether. Like I say, this is your knob for tilt steering. Push this for telescoping steering. I'm a little rusted out down there. I'll have to fix that sometime. Make it look good. Needs a cab kit. This side was hanging down. I ripped it all off. Actually, it was somebody put carpet on this side. I ripped that all out. This side's all right. Here's my planter marker or monitor, which I just hook up. I made an electrical cord with a regular plug-in like you're plugging into a wall. So the female end comes out of the battery box, which is down there. So it comes out of... There's a little spot down there. You can run it through the floor. And then boy, this thing really needs to be cleaned out, doesn't it? There's the plug right there, in fact. It's still plugged in. And so I put ends on everything like this. It just makes it simple if I want to move the monitor from one tractor to another. I got another tractor set up the same way. Actually, my brother's 70-30. And I'm going to say this thing, we'll start it up again. Oh, turn the fuel on. I mean, this is a one-finger steer. I'd say a 40-20. A 40-20 in really good shape. The hydraulic pump on this is a little bit weak. I had it resealed, but should have put a new pump on for what it cost to have a shop reseal it. Was the cost of a new pump. I wish they'd have just told me that. But I've been on a 40-20 in good shape, and they steer even slightly better than this with the same. I mean, this is really good. The 40-20, you don't have to grip it as hard as I'm gripping with my one finger. 40-20, at least the one I was on, the couple I've been on, steer really easy. Well, I was on a 40-10, that wasn't quite as nice. But there's your gear shift pattern with your speeds. It's got your speeds with the at rated engine speed, which is 2200 RPM. And oh yeah, ashtray. I don't think that's been used in a long time. I like the round bale with this tractor. There's your little cab light. Somebody added speakers. Well, I don't know if that's original speakers. I have no idea what the original ones look like. Somebody replaced the radio. There's your fan speed. Somebody put the switch in sideways, so. And I need a new motor that just started last year. You can hear that. There's low speed, high speed. It should go this way. Warm, cold. Does not have air. Some of them have air. This one doesn't. I wish it did. There's your filter. That's where your air filter is for the cab, your cabin filter. And, I don't know, there's where I keep the records on the tractor. Oil changes. If I do any work to it. Tie rods I've put on. Tires, rear tires I put on a couple years ago. When I first got it, the high side of the power director was out, which is pretty unusual to find one like that, but you know, it is what it is. Had that fixed, so that's written down in there. That cost, fixing the power director was about the same cost as fixing the hydraulic pump. That's ridiculous what the hydraulic pump cost me. Hydraulic pump was about $2,000 and one hose. They replaced one hose up going to the oil cooler, which burst as I was driving it on the trailer to go get the hydraulic pump fixed. So I guess that was a good time for it to do it. Other than that, these windows, Alice back in those days had windows that open nice and wide. It's missing the little stop here. It should look like that with a knob. But if you don't watch it, they'll rattle loose and you'll lose your parts. I always, when I open them, I always check I give that a little turn. Same thing with the back window, opens nice and wide. So it isn't the quietest cab, but it isn't bad. I think if I had new door seals and new window seals and the new padding in it and patch up little holes like that, and like the seal around going around the hood and all that, I think it'd be fairly quiet. It ain't much different than the 7000 cab on the 7000 series, and they're pretty quiet when they're all in. All the seals are good. This is slightly wider than a 7000 series, and I wouldn't say it's wider at belt level, but it's wider up here going across. And the reason why the 7000 series got a little narrower is because when you angle your windows, these windows are straight up and down. You angle them, the sound deflects different, and you don't get that. It's not loud when you angle your windows. So like every window on a 70 series is angled except for the front windows, I think. But your side and your rear are all angled. In fact, the older 7000, the maroon bellies, those front windows there are angled. And later on, they went straight up and down. But the little newer cab was even slightly quieter, so I guess it didn't matter. They did other things, more padding in the little newer. But this is a good tractor. I wish I would have put a new hydraulic pump on, but I mean, it isn't that bad. It'll still, when it's warmed up, you might have to rev it a little bit to get these levers to kick back. But I got a 190 that you don't need to do that to. That's in good shape. It's only got slightly less than 4,000 hours on that 190, straight 190, a 1965 190. Steps are better on this. Those are factory steps, better than the maroon belly 7000s. But the black belly 7000, they had probably the best steps of their day, or pretty close to it. A lot better than them John Deere ones that come out here, and they're tiny. And if you miss it, you're gonna fall on your rear end on the ground. So some of these are busted. The weak spot would be that part of that yoke for the rear of the axle goes all the way across. They did that for stability, but the weak spot's right where it's welded there, kind of right in here. They'll break. And the easy fix would be put a gusset just inside, on the inside, a little gusset. So I've seen tractors have that put in before they break, and then they don't have the trouble. It's really the only, my dad's 190 broke, but that's the only one I've ever seen, or only one we've ever had with a broken front end. Suitcase weight bracket. I got suitcase weights, but there was two different styles. This bracket's for the thicker weights, and I got the thinner weights. So I'd like to either trade my thinner weights off for some thicker weights, or find the bracket to fit my weights. So the final drives on these are way thicker than the early 190s, and they're thicker than the late 190s. The bull gear is wider. And then the 7000 that replaced it is pretty much the same tractor with a 3-speed power director, and then newer sheet metal. And there's enough different things in the 7000, straight 7000, where not a whole lot interchanges when you get into this area of the tractor. Probably hardly anything interchanges. Power director plates, I think will swap, but. And the 7000 had wider final drives yet. You just don't hear much trouble with 200s or 7000s on final drives unless you run them out of oil. But to tell you the truth, I used to work at an ALLIS dealership for 4 years. I did in the early 90s. The only time I saw trouble with final drives was when they were out of oil, because nobody checked them. So that's what I got. I really like this tractor. My dad likes it. I was going to sell it, but my dad likes it so much that he likes to drive it. He's 80. How old is he? He'll be 84 this year. So I'll keep it because he likes it. All right, that's all.